It is Friday, October 31st. I'm at a boys' outing with Tom and Frank, and we're at the Naval Museum in Pensacola. And there's a lot to see, but what you're looking at here is one of the Navy's first planes. It's actually called a flying boat at the time. There are so many interesting things to see here. This was the airplane that made the first Atlantic crossing for the U.S. Navy. Absolutely huge. This was the plane most of the barnstorming pilots used, including Charles Lindbergh. Let me show you this side though, because this is what these things look like cut away. Just wood, cables, and what you see on that other side is just fabric. This is a Boeing plane that was used between the World War I and World War II to train a lot of people. This particular plane right here was used by a technical school to teach mechanics during World War II. Then after the war, they couldn't use it anymore, so they just buried it. And when they did excavation later on in 1982, it was found by a backhoe, and they restored it and brought it to here. This is a 1929 Ford Motor Triplane. I flew over in one of these from Put-in Bay one year when we were ice fishing. This thing just made it over the trees at the end of the runway. I was in the co-pilot seat, and it was pretty cool. A P-40B Tomahawk, one of the famous Flying Tigers. Here are some of the earlier jet fighter aircraft. There's just cool stuff all through this place. These A4s were flown by the Blue Angels from 1976 to 1984, I do believe. What a flight deck would look like in World War II. More planes from that era. Marine One for President Nixon. Of course, any aircraft that the president's on is called Marine One. Richard Nixon. This is his Marine helicopter. I'm about to experience a 4D version of Blue Angel flight. Looking forward to it. That was interesting. A lunar rover, a $38 million car at the time, could travel the speeds up to 8 miles per hour. A boilerplate command module. Many of these were built. They're just the size and weight and shape of the real thing, but pretty much empty inside. Used to simulate for rescue purposes and retrieval purposes. I'm sitting in a HH-52 Coast Guard rescue helicopter cockpit trainer. The ball turret of a post-World War II plane. Man, I think you sit on this where the bullets ran underneath you. Oh my. They stopped using these shortly after the 1950s, early 1950s. An F-8 Crusader, the last of the gunfighters before planes went mostly to missiles. Notice where the cockpit is compared to the wing. They moved the cockpit way up so the pilot could see better. This is the FA-18. It's currently still flown by the Blue Angels. This type of plane is, but this plane in particular was put out of service in 2011. And these planes are first flown all over before they're given to the Blue Angels and turned into a demonstration plane. This is the plane that was used to fly President Bush, and at the time he was in it, it was called Navy One, and he landed on the carrier and proclaimed mission accomplished during the Gulf War. The Sidewinder missile. You're looking at the famous Phantom, which is the F4, and I do believe this is what our friend John from Serenity flew for all those years. Wow. The weaponry of an A6 intruder. Stay away from this baby. This aircraft here, an A7, flew over 30 missions in Desert Storm. They're no longer used by the Navy. This is the future of carrier aircraft. This is a drone, unmanned plane. It has been demonstrated to land on a carrier. Yeah, looking at the future. Wow. There's just too much to see at the museum here to put it all on a video, but I gave you a little flavor of it. Another great side trip on the loop. A great adventure today. Until the next time.